Hello, Internet! Welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our latest discussion of the latest episode of Survivor Season 42, Episode 7. Breaking it all down, talking about the episode where the jury begins. Not the journey, but the jury. Break it all down here, talk all about it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, Pavement Road Productions on Facebook. You can also email us directly pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. That's pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe, share the post, tell your friends, and help spread the word. So let's go ahead and get started here with the latest episode of Survivor. But we do have a guest again. So Jessica had such a fun time last time. She came back for another one because she's just overwhelmed with joy.
Or I just feel bad because you need somebody else on here with you.
Yes, I'm sick of talking and being the only one talking on the show, so I want somebody else on.
Are you? You're not sick of talking all the time while we're home. Even if I'm not responding, you just continue to talk. But, yes.
But welcome back to the show, Jessica.
Thank you.
So let's start off with this episode. What do you think of this episode as a whole?
Pretty basic. Maybe a slight glimmer of excitement that turned back into what it's been, but, kind of status quo again.
Yeah, it's been, people say, oh, bad season. What constitutes a bad season? Because, a season that's bad is, one that had a ton of promise and ended up fizzling out. A bad season is one, when there's sexual harassment allegations going around. A bad season is one that has racism and bullying, so there's a lot of bad seasons. A lot of seasons that, there's stuff being shoved in your face that you don't want to listen to. So there's all kinds of bad seasons. And then there's seasons that are just kind of boring and straightforward. I don't know which one's worse. I guess this is better than, having, other things that you don't want to hear about, talked about.
I mean, I'm fine with this season. Obviously, I wouldn't be on here talking about it because I'd be too pissed off.
Yeah, obviously. So Jessica, rage quit last season, but is
quit. I didn't allow to quit. I had to finish it, but I was mad the whole time.
Yeah, and she, last season broke her, but she's back here because at least this one isn't having all the BS of last season. But I will say though, yeah, it is a very, very straightforward season. We're going to talk about it. It makes it a lot harder to podcast, and there's not a ton to talk about, but we're going to try our best. And the producers are, it's one of those things where I almost wonder if the producers are doing so much that it's making people afraid to make moves. Because there's so many different variables in the game that just get in alliance and ride it to the end, play an old school game, it might be the best way to combat some of the twists.
I don't know. I feel like there's so many twists and there's not a lot of going on. There's not a lot of idols anymore. It's no longer about going out and finding an idol anymore. That's gone. You do it once and that's all that there is out there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
Because they're not getting played. If they were being played or people were going out with them in their pocket, they'd be more hidden. But
yeah, but sometimes there were two hidden out there and stuff like that. Now there's a lot of other things you can get instead of the idol.
Yeah.
So it's not about going out to find an idol. People don't go saying oh, I want to go out and find an idol anymore because they just don't show that anymore.
Yeah, and there's, obviously everybody knows who has them, so it's hard to even play them.
Oh, right.
Because everybody knows who has them because of the phrase.
Right.
I don't know. We'll talk about it, but let's go ahead and start this episode, and then we'll kind of expand from there. Let's talk about moment that mattered. The 3 moments that mattered. We'll talk about who did not survive. Spoiler alert, my winner pick. So I'm 1 for 15, or more probably. But since I've been counting. Which was season 32, so this is the 11th season I've been counting, and I'm 1 and 11 now, which is really, really exciting. So let's go ahead and talk about that, though. Let's talk about 3 moments that mattered, starting with moment number 1, which is...
Red-handed.
Red-handed. Tell me about that.
So Drea was the one to sit out for the reward challenge. She switched spots with Marianne because she wanted to give Marianne an opportunity to win food. So Drea sat out. She sat on the bench, and same as last season, they hid a clue or hid an advantage underneath the bench. Last year, Xander never looked. This time, Drea was kind of stretching. She looked under the bench and saw the clue or the beware advantage. So when she took that, it basically said there is a when an advantage for the next, or just an advantage hidden 5 paces from the water well. So she had to run there quick, find that. She found a coconut that was cracked open, kind of opened it up, had to reach down into what was like red paint in order to get her advantage, which was the knowledge is power advantage. And she was not caught, but she was red-handed after finding that advantage.
For sure. And so, and like you said, I mean, everything, she found a couple different coconuts that weren't the right ones, and she found the right one, in the red paint. And so it was the red-handed thing, which was interesting. And she, of course, washed it off with the water well, poured water in her hand, try and do it before she got caught. I feel like people have a lot more time than they think out there because, people are so bored they don't have any energy to do anything. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later on. That's kind of leading to some of the maybe more stagnant gameplay because people are maybe there's not. I mean, I think taking away their food, giving them no food. No, again, it's only 26 days as opposed to normally 39 days and all that. So that they want to make it a little harder since it's a shorter season. But I don't know if not giving them food is helping because it might be making a lot more stagnant gameplay. But either way, so she washes the paint off her hand almost all the way. But what happened?
She went back to the camp and she still had some of the red on the back of her arm. Tori saw it and asked, "Oh, are you cut?" And she just kind of lied and said, "No, I was painting the flag." Well, the flag was there and there was no paint on it. She said she was painting somewhere else, but I mean, you could probably tell if there was paint used or not. So she very poorly lied about what was going on and wouldn't look at her, and that is the worst thing that you could be doing right now. If you want to make someone believe you when you're lying, you need to look at them and just play it off. She should have just agreed she was bleeding.
Yeah, that's what I said, right? I said she should just be like, "Oh yeah, I am bleeding. I went over the water well and cut myself. I'm fine, though, no big deal." And then say, "Oh, I'm gonna go wash her off. Wash her off the rest. I thought I got it all. Let me wash her off in the ocean and play it off."
Right.
And that's really, that's all you had to do. But were you gonna say anything else, or was that?
No, I mean, I was going to say more about, you were talking about the lack of food, but we can talk about that with the next one.
Cool. So let's go ahead then and talk about moment that matter number 2 then, which was...
Rice negotiations.
Rice line negotiator.
Oh my God. So at the individual immunity challenge, Jeff offered up the rice again. So if you sat out, you can get an individual portion, or if multiple people sat out, you got a bag that now lasts for 4 days for everybody. So starting off the negotiations, they go from 2, Jeff wants 9. They say, I think 4, and Jeff says 6. And then they say 4 again. Jeff says he accepts 4. He said basically in the beginning he would take 4 if they were persistent enough. Marianne basically started to break down when they only had 3 people willing to go out there and volunteer, saying, she knows she's on the line, that she appreciates someone that is safe or feels safer to, come out and help them so they can get food so everybody can eat because nobody's eating anything. And Omer decides to sit out with them for the rice negotiation, and they end up getting the full bag for the 4 days.
Which you always knew they were going to do.
Well, yeah. Someone was going to do it.
Yeah. And so I thought it might have been Jonathan, honestly.
Yeah.
But, and then the thing is... So Lindsay said right away she would because she's like, I'm not good at this challenge anyways, so I'll just sit out. Yeah. And then Drea agreed, and then Marianne's like, I'm on the block, I'm willing to sit out.
Right.
Somebody else who's not on the block definitely should sit out. And
right.
Like you said, so.
Well, yeah, see, the one thing that disappoints me about the people, like she said, if you feel like you're safe, there's no reason for you to try and win. Like, I know you came to play the game, but if you're safe, you're going to get an opportunity the next week to play the game. So why wouldn't you sit out for food for yourself? Yeah, and
it's one of those things where there's so many, there's so many things that the quote unquote juju or karma, whatever. I mean, I remember when Wes Nall, Keith's son, on 29 on Blood vs. Water, he had a chance to sit out a challenge or drop out of it. It was like a reward immunity challenge, and Jeff was tempting the players with food. He used to do back then, and he tempted Wes Nall with chicken wings, and Wes is like, "I'll take him." He jumps down, he got voted out. He jumped down for chicken wings, he got voted out. He says the chicken wings are not worth $1 million. They were okay, right?
Yeah.
Then on the other hand, you had somebody like Tyson, when it was Tyson, Sierra, Jervis, and Monica in the original Blood vs. Water. They had to sit out, and Monica was the one who competed. They sat out to eat because they knew they were safe, and it was brash, it was arrogant, everything like that. but also lower their threat level a little bit because like these guys aren't even trying in the challenges, and the other people who are trying really hard are bigger threats because they're doing these guys aren't even trying. So
Right.
it could go either way, but usually they say never risk it because who knows, somebody playing idle, you're safe somebody plays idle and you're gone when you could have won immunity. So there's a lot of things to it, and obviously too when they do a lot of times, it seems like they do this type of thing a lot of times when there's somebody who's like for example, there's somebody who they like who could be voted out, they like to kind of increase that person's odds by having less people compete or giving 2 idols, 2 necklaces away, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I was going to say, too, like you said, no one's eating, so that hurts, and like Jonathan was saying, he eats so much more at home, and now he's, like, his brain's foggy and everything else, and I feel like everybody's like that, because when you're starving, I know when I'm hungry, I am not pleasant to be around, and eventually that pain subsides. You don't have to shake your head. I know I'm not pleasant. I am nasty. If you feed me, I'm not, but... I think the whole point with them taking the rice away for the past couple seasons has been stupid. It hasn't really done much for the actual game itself.
Well, taking their flint and like that, it's all stupid.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think Rob Cesternino said, he goes, what you should always do is just eat all the rice and then negotiate for more. Mm-hmm. And even if it gets to the point where it's like, they're like, well, we took away all your rewards that you won. Okay, well, we also won immunities, so that's fine. Right. And they can take those away. And what they say, no, we're not giving any more rice. You ate it all. You shouldn't have eaten it all. Okay, well, we're just going to be dead, and we'll basically mutiny. We just won't. Mm-hmm. We'll be terrible in confessional. We'll make a terrible show. Right. Who cares? Give me more food.
Right.
And they're not going to be a terrible show where you don't do anything, where you can't compete in the challenges.
Right.
So they're going to want it to be something. So they're going to give you what you want.
You would think with like movie TV magic that they would just feed them off of camera and not show anybody just a little bit more. Like everybody's got to lose weight and all that stuff on this show, or it's not Survivor, but they shouldn't all be dead trying to play the game.
Well, I remember like they had, when they wanted to bring back winners, they had to do different things, and All Stars was different. Like I remember Boston Rob was going to quit on Heroes Villains, and they had to like promise him stuff to keep him going. So it's like, if you threaten them, they'll probably give you what you want. And obviously, the negotiation in this case, they said they probably could have. They want there to be good TV, So if you give them good TV, they'll probably give you what you want. Like I said, when Tony played his first season, he had an idol that nobody knew what the power was, and he lied about what the power was. Now in today's Survivor, they probably wouldn't let you. I mean, they have the stupid advantage. We'll talk about it here again in a second with Drea, but the stupid knowledge of power advantage is stupid, pointless. It takes a lying out of the game.
Well, especially now, though, because everybody knows it anyways, so you know exactly who to ask. You're not wondering who has what to ask them this question. You just know so you can get it away from them.
And obviously, it got played wrong last time because it was...
they knew because there was stuff going on, and they knew she had that, and then that caused other drama.
Yeah, so if you're Dre and you have that and you don't talk about it, then it's much more effective. Because people always want to tell their secrets to everybody else, and it's stupid. But like I said, there's so many stupid, things like that, and it's just like, just don't.
Or going back to the food thing, why don't they, like I said to you, bring back the fire tokens, and you can use fire tokens to buy like the jar of peanut butter like they did, or some good food if you need it, like anything you want. Have it stuff for the camp or have it for food. Have it for, you can buy a meal for 3 people, like something. Yeah. Make it interesting like that.
No, 100% agree. 100% agree. I guess we can talk about the gameplay a little more later on here, but let's go ahead and talk about the third moment that mattered.
Paranoia overload.
Yeah. So what's that about?
Romeo is paranoid AF.
Yeah.
And it's a little annoying. I understand he needs to be sus because his name's being brought up, but man, oh man, he is definitely paranoid. I think he's paranoid enough for everybody that no one else has been paranoid most of the time. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. And like I said, I mean, there's, I was going to make a different point about something else, but I guess we'll just stick with that. Like,
we're talking about the Drea stuff?
No, I was kind of, I was going to talk about something else before I just kind of moved on without finishing that point, but that's okay. The whole point is, for me, she's very paranoid. But kind of like the Tori thing, where they said that she's really good at reading the situation, right? And she saw the blood on her, quote unquote, blood on her hand, and didn't really say anything,
Right.
but kind of, or said something about it, but kind of,
Really bad at lying about it.
well, they were bad at lying about it, right? And Tori called her out on it, and could read that something wasn't right, And Romeo is kind of in the same boat where he knows that, like, and they said, nobody's looking you in the eye, nobody's, he was really close to Drea, and all of a sudden she's not making any eye contact with him.
Right.
It's like, well, people can pick up on that stuff.
Well, you talked about it last week. Either, you have your alliance and you have to check it every once in a while, or they're going to feel like this.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not doing that.
Right, and she really isn't with him anymore, really. I mean, she kind of is, is keeping him on the side if she needs him, but, whereas...
It doesn't work that way unless you feed into them a little bit.
Right, whereas Omer is, kind of keeping everybody, close. Drea's like, all right, I was friends with you, but now I made other friends, I really don't need you anymore. It's like, that's not the right way to play it.
Right.
And that's a problem, for sure. So, but he is paranoid. He's overly paranoid. It's hurting his game. And a lot of the stuff at Tribal Council was, they're kind of talking about, hey, who can we trust going forward? And there was a lot of that was for Romeo, like, to calm himself down.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you can make it a lot easier on him if you just talk to him and, make him part of your group. It's... they say, you don't need to be paranoid, but you do need to be paranoid because a lot of times people aren't actually talking about you.
Yeah.
His name was the third one out there, and they were going to split on him and Chanel, and they ended up, that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
So, he's paranoid, sure, but he has reason to be, too.
Yeah.
So he has to control that and not be emotional, and they need to do a better job of keeping him from getting that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said before, people know, how somebody is. You know that they're a bad liar. You know that they're paranoid. You know that they're arrogant. Play into it.
Right.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Anything else?
No, I don't know in what area we can talk. I guess we can talk about it with the top and bottom three, so never mind.
Okay. So we'll save it for that.
Yep.
Let's talk about who did not survive this week.
Chanel.
My winner pick. Yep.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, so many things. Mike's emotional, and a lot of people are playing this emotional take it to heart game of they want to get rid of someone because they did them wrong and everything, instead of going with something that could be better, or just kind of actually voting in a strategic way, not an emotional way. She lied to people. Everybody does, but she got caught in the lies that she was giving, and the whole situation with her and when Daniel was in playing and everything, it just didn't all turn out well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she scorned Mike, which is, obviously a big deal. As you can see with my eyes rolling, and so, she scorned Mike. She, and then once the alliances were forming, she wasn't really in those groups.
She got caught being two-faced, and you can be two-faced on this show as long as people aren't going to talk about it.
Yeah, and you can, and I guess her biggest mistake is when they vote out Daniel. She promised she wouldn't vote for him, so she threw a vote on Mike. And Mike, instead of being like, "Oh, I know why you did it," he took it personally,
which is annoying. I'm sick of that.
Oh yeah, no, I hate it too. I hate it too, Mr. Integrity. Right?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I don't like it. I think it was, and obviously it's my winner pick, so I hate it doubly. But I mean, obviously, if you know what she should have done, she should have said, "Sorry, Daniel, you threw me under the bus. I have to vote you out," and just did that. And maybe it would have saved her a little bit of face. Maybe it wouldn't have.
I mean, at that point, he's not going to be on the jury anyway, so you might as well have just voted for him. It wasn't going to do anything. You would have won points with the people you're still stuck with.
If you could almost, which would have been the right move for her, for sure. Mm-hmm. I just kind of thought maybe Mike would have seen that and been like, you gave somebody your word you were going to vote for him and you didn't.
Did she explain it to him?
I don't know. I don't know.
Thing.
I don't know if she did or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know. But that's, Mr. Integrity maybe would have seen that and been like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But then again, if something happens to somebody else, it's okay. If it happens to them, it's not okay.
Well, yeah.
So.
Especially with that type of personality.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's what Chanel did. I think she alienated too many people. And if she would have immediately gotten in front of it at the merge and been like, hey, I think,
clear the air.
Yeah, and she was one of the ones who was immune, right? Yeah. So maybe she wasn't immune.
Yeah, because it flipped.
It flipped. But she was originally not immune.
Yeah, I thought originally she was not immune.
So there's no excuse then. So she should have come out immediately, guns blazing, and been like, "Hey, I'm done with the Green Tribe. Let's make a deal."
Yeah.
And that's what she should have done immediately. But she said she was playing a different game than everybody else. She said she was playing checkers, or chess, and everybody was playing checkers.
I think it was the opposite.
I think it was the opposite of that.
So I was sitting there in my head saying that, like, I don't think so.
I don't think she's outsmarting anybody. I think she's outdumbing everybody.
Yeah.
And I said I thought she was gonna do really well, and she had a good personality to do well. I just think her biggest problem was, like you said, she should have come out guns blazing and said, "Screw the Green Tribe. I'm with you, and you. Let's pull together a coalition." Instead, she sat back because she kind of got yelled at by her original tribe, like, "Don't you dare flip on us!" So she's trying to prove her loyalty to them, when she should have just been putting out feelers and saying, she was in a really no-win situation. Daniel really hurt her game for sure, with him blowing up on her and like that, and causing the problems that he caused. But she should have either been like, "Okay, I'm 100% with you guys," and followed them like a puppy, and gone everywhere that Hai and Lydia and all them went. She should have went with them all everywhere, or she should have immediately flipped to them and said, "Screw them, I'm against them. Who wants to take them out?" and done that. But she kind of played a little bit of both.
Yeah.
She wasn't really in on every conversation with the green people as like their number one, but she also wasn't like actively trying to get rid of them. She was kind of just playing softer. And when people don't trust you, it's hard because you don't want to do what Tori's doing, overplay when people don't trust you.
Right.
But you also can't do what Chanel's doing and not play when people don't trust you. You have to kind of find that happy medium. That's a big problem for a lot of people. I guess that's kind of one of the things I don't like about how the game is playing. And like I said, we said before about the rights and the advantages. It's like I think there's too much producer. I think that's what I was gonna say before. There's too much producer interference because the players are all like kind of, I think they're afraid to make any big moves because there's you stick your neck out there, something's gonna blow up on you, and because there's so many things you have to navigate. You're better off just getting a group and just kind of putting your head down and going. And I think that's part of it, or sitting back. Either way, but I think when you try to make a bigger move, knowing that there's all these advantages, all this producer interference in the game, it's hard to navigate all that, I think. And that's why we're playing a lot slower.
Yeah.
And also they have no food and no energy.
Right.
Anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about the top 3 and bottom 3 this week. We'll start with the bottom 3 as we always do. No necessarily particular order.
You did not note an extra note that she's the first jury member.
She's the first jury member. Chanel is, yes, it's true. Also, again...
mentioned it, but usually you say first jury member.
First jury member, yeah. Chanel was... so she became the first member of the jury, and she just helped decide who win. And also, I said, too, one thing you really don't want is a really pissed off first member of the jury. You never say, we love you. She's like, yeah, okay. And she's like rolling her eyes at them. And that's definitely one thing you don't want, is the first member of the jury to be pissed at you, because they're going to probably... You don't want the first member or the last member of the jury to be pissed at you, because they're gonna either
stew.
Yeah, they're a stew, and everybody comes in there and say, "Isn't that person a jerk?" Yeah, they are. Or then the last person, it's raw, and they're gonna just have the emotion. Like if you're gonna piss them off mid jury.
As we saw last season of the last person that went to jury, Ricard.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's when Deshaun got screwed.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's a lot
to
it,
but yeah,
I agree.
That was a big part.
No, I agree for sure. Let's go ahead and talk about then, and so it's bad for I think anybody who was originally on the green team. There's only 2 left now, anyways, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about top 3 and bottom. We start with the bottom 3 in no particular order. Who is number 1?
Tori,
yeah. So Tori's won 2 immunities, so she's doing well there.
She's a giant pain in the ass otherwise.
As I said, she's really been in a spot where never can really get a footing. Nobody wants to work with her. And she made a point, and Romeo made the same point. Like you can take this alliance all the way down to the final, whatever, 8-7-6. But if you're not in the core of that group, you're gonna wish you had somebody else make a move against that group.
Yeah.
And so many people always think they're tight until they get to the end. And they're like, oh wait, and they vote out 7th or 6th, and like, oh, I thought I was your number 1. No, you're not. And it's too late, because there's not enough people left to make a move. So Tori is right in that capacity, but she's just not. I don't know. She just can't.
She may be right, but I still wouldn't want to work with her if I was on there.
Well, right, and that's part of the problem, right? Is that you have to have that social, you have to have social capital to make moves. And that's the biggest problem. Like, so many times people in the game, it's like you're watching a TV, like, why don't that one and that one and that one get together? Because they don't have the social capital to do that. Because they don't work, and that's why the players who win the game know that, so they don't have to worry about it.
People don't want to feel like they're grilled, and she always seems like she's grilling people when she talks to them about stuff.
She's very, very aggressive, and you think as a person who listens to people for a living, she'd listen more.
Nope, she needs to know. I don't know. It's like mom, 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 until you just annoy the piss out of people.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I can't disagree with anything you said. I mean, she's doing well in the challenges. No social game.
Also annoying.
She might be good. She might be good strategically. I said I want to see somebody. I want to see somebody who does. I'm rooting for the Chanel, the Tories, because I want them to mess stuff up. Because everybody, it's been so straightforward. Every vote has been like, it's gonna be that one or that one, and it's gonna be that one or that one. There's been no mystery, really, at all. It's the producers try to make it something, like, oh, it could be this one, could be this one, or it could be that one, and it ends up being one of the original ones they were talking about. So it's been very straightforward. I want somebody to come in and screw stuff up, so that's why I'm kind of rooting for that person to do that. But she said she's talking, she's not listening, and she's just, like you said, it's like the person who, like, maybe you'll tell them what they need to hear or whatever, when they're bugging you, but afterwards you're like, what's with them? The person who's like overly aggressive, like in your face, and you're like, they might get an answer today that they need, but tomorrow and the next day you're not going to put yourself in that situation where you have to deal with them.
Right.
And it's she's playing way too hard.
She can stick around if she stays with the number one and then our number one overtakes her. That's fine. But otherwise, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. 100%. What else? Anything else about Tori? Yeah, we said I think if roles were reversed, she might have been in a better spot, had a better gameplay. If she, things didn't break down the way they did. But I just think it's kind of gotten to the point where, she was on the bottom pretty much from the beginning, and she had to play hard, and she doesn't know any other, when your only tool is a hammer, everything else is a nail. I think that's kind of what it is for her right now. She's trying to power ahead and always, instead of, like I said, she could have played a little softer where Chanel could have played a little harder, and would have worked out better for both of them, I think.
Tori's going around trying to hammer each nail that's there. Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think she's trying to get hammered or get nailed.
Or get nailed, yeah, that's what I meant more so, but... Anyways.
Hey, it's it's a big island. What can I say? Let's go ahead and talk about who's number 2 in the top, in the bottom three.
Top bottom, Marianne.
Marianne's number 2. Yeah, why Marianne?
I mean, she doesn't really have much of an alliance. She's with Tori and Romeo and everything, but she's out of the top 8 alliance. She is very out there. She's also extremely emotional. She's trying to play with her emotional part to her advantage, but that only will work so far. It's not going to work for everything if you just cry, because people are going to get annoyed with that too.
And she's incredibly likable, so you can't get anywhere near the end.
Yeah. No, for sure she is. I mean, I see both sides of it, but...
Tell me.
Oh, just that she's so emotional that people are just going to be like, she's always crying and everything, and like,
You can't take her seriously.
What's that?
Don't take her seriously.
Yeah, because she's freaking out and cries about stuff. But so far, it hasn't been that bad. The only time was the race. This past time worked to her advantage, at least this time.
Yeah, and so she's, the crying, everything like that. People won't take her seriously as a player, and also they will. I would say, it's kind of double-edged sword for her because she's playing. People won't take her seriously as a player, but also she's a threat because she's very likable. So It's like there's really no reason to keep her beyond another vote or two.
Right. That's true.
So, yep. Let's go ahead and talk about the number 3 person. Now, finally, the third person here in the bottom 3 is...
Romeo.
Yeah, why Romeo?
Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? No, wrong.
Yeah, we're out there, not in any alliance.
Yeah, that his paranoia is getting, too much attention from everybody. They're kind of getting over how paranoid he is and talking to everybody, but I mean, at the same time, that's kind of how you have to be too.
Yeah, I mean, he's not in the alliance. There's only 3 people left who aren't in the 8 alliance, or whatever. There's 2 people, whatever. There's 3, who aren't in the main alliance, I guess, and he's one of them. So it's like he was really close to Drea. Drea has now made other friends, and so he's kind of feeling out a little bit, which I guess he is, but you can play it better too.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of whining and complaining about it, and Roxroy needs to be smarter too, to be like, yeah, your name did come up, like.
Don't talk about it.
Right, it's stupid. Like,
you're supposed to lie about things.
Right, and there's a lot of players who are very straightforward, and there's a lot of there's so much bad gameplay, man. There's so much.
Everybody's straightforward. Everybody's just I don't know. I don't know the word for it, because like you said, Drea's getting cocky now with her stuff. Roxroy and Mike, they'll just tell you how they feel. It's like, but this is not the game of telling people how they feel about you. Or Tori, when she said something to Jonathan, like. Yeah. You need to lie to people to get anywhere in the game.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do. And it's crazy. I just don't understand it. I don't understand. And we'll talk about it again maybe with some of the players too. But there's even the players who are good are making bad decisions a lot. And it's helping. It's okay for now. They're getting through, but it's not great. And it's it's one of those things where the reason what I want for my season, I want a good winner. That's really all I want. Somebody who played the game well and won the game. I don't want somebody who fell bass backwards and everything. Like Fabio, who won the season despite himself.
Yeah.
He was a goofball. He sucked. He was okay at some of the challenges. He was just weird. He had no idea what the hell was going on in the game, and and got taken in the end with 2 people nobody else liked. It's like, ugh. I want a top tier winner. I want someone who redefines the game.
Yeah.
And this has not been a lot of that, and it's a little bit frustrating, a little bit annoying. And I said everybody's just like, oh yeah, as long as I'm in the 8, I'll go for it. Well, are all 8 of you going to win?
Right.
Like I hope that breaks up the next couple votes, because it's too much. It's way too much, and it's a problem. So, we'll see. The old tribe lines seem to be pretty blurry at this point, which is a good thing. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, no, I know.
Let's go ahead and talk about the top 3 of the week. I guess we'll talk about number 3, which is
Hai.
Why?
He's in the top 8. He kind of runs a lot of the stuff that's happening in the top 8. And I guess has most people trusting him. Romeo did throw a vote on him tonight, so he's obviously getting a little bit shaky with people believing what he's saying or anything, or how he's acting towards people, but I guess that's why he's number 3.
Yeah, he's. I think he's still in a really good spot. I don't see him going home next, even if they do want to turn on that alliance. He is kind of the head of the alliance, but there's multiple people who are, and what he did say was, I think before the vote, was very smart. Yeah. Like, you got to know when to let somebody else drive, or you better wear a seatbelt. And that's completely true, because and I think that's one thing that he's doing well, and one thing I do like about this season, or about what they're doing, is they're keeping the good players around. Mm-hmm. They get rid of the players who aren't as good, because if you keep the stronger players around, there's always somebody else who can take the hit, right? Like, yeah, if they're like, Hai's running the game, people like, no, I'm not. Look at Drea, and it's believable, right? Like if you go other seasons, be like, oh, Hai's running. No, it's Marianne. Like, no, it's not.
Right.
Yeah. And so you have other people around who you could point to, like, see, I'm just going along with you. And do that really, really well last season. The person you said that he kind of reminds you of.
Ricard.
Yeah, Ricard last season was like, I didn't do anything. It's all Shan. Mm-hmm. Right, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Shan is running the game, and then Tuesday will sneak back a couple votes and form up with somebody else and take it, create a different alliance. And I think that's what Hai's kind of positioning himself to do, is he's got, like, he's keeping other threats with him, and then people are like, you know what? I don't like Drea. Drea's doing this, or I don't like Jonathan. He's doing this. I don't like Omar. He's like, I agree.
Right.
He can just jump out with whoever, because there's people who, as long as they're not coming after him, or even if they are, he can kind of throw somebody else out there and say, no, it wasn't me. It was actually this person. And it's believable, because they do have stock in the game.
Everyone quickly forgot how he turned on his number 1, though, so that's something that could bite him later.
Which is crazy. Mm-hmm. Which is crazy to me. Like, how do you... And again, it's one of those things where it depends on the people playing the game. They might be like, wow, he likes me so much he's willing to turn out as number one, or maybe the better thought is he was willing to turn out as number one. Why wouldn't he turn me?
They didn't really show discussions about the vote last week, except for the people that were left out of the vote, but they didn't discuss that Lydia was gone.
Right.
They didn't say anything about how, why did you do that, or how, or whatever. It was, they were left out of the vote. That's the only thing.
No, for sure. So it's definitely strange. Definitely weird. So, but I still think Hyde's playing a good game, and he may not be the number one on the board at the moment, but he is definitely playing a strong game. I definitely see him going pretty far. Still at this point. Who is number two?
Drea.
Drea, why?
Because she's got every single advantage there is out there. Isn't she? She's got an extra vote. She's got an immunity idol. Doesn't she have that
amulet?
The amulet, and then now she's got the knowledge is power. So, I mean, she's got everything. If she leaves with anything in her pocket, that's going to be really terrible. Plus, she's in the Alliance and, has been fine with that. She just needs to get better at lying to people.
Yeah, so who else has the amulet? It's
Lindsay.
Lindsay's the other one.
High.
And High, that's right. I knew High. I couldn't think of Lindsay. I was thinking...
Lindsay.
I
forgot what that was from, and it was from the very first episode.
Yep,
yeah.
the first challenge. Yeah, when they were, had to put the fake blood in them and everything.
Blood and dirt, even though, where's the blood coming from? I don't see a scratch.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Drea does have every advantage, and the only thing I can really say is if it's time for somebody to, if she does get down like the final 8 or final 6, and they're kind of like, all the guys are forming up or whatever is going to happen, she does have a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
So she can do that, which is good. But I think the other thing I was say before is I think a lot of people are holding on to their advantages. There hasn't been an immunity since they did this last season. There has not been a correct.
Everybody's holding on to it until they need it, and then they don't play it when they actually need it, so it doesn't matter.
Right, and because people know that they have them, so they are trying to work around them.
Right.
It's not a secret, and that's a big problem. Everybody's telling each other somebody said information is power in this game. I'm like, yes, and it was Omer. It's true. Knowing where the advantages are sometimes rather than having them, like I've said before, but.
Right.
And I think it's a big thing. It's like you have all these advantages, but people a lot of times are they don't play them because they're trying to hold on to them for as long as possible because the fewer people are in the game, the more powerful they are, and also they don't want to blow them, they don't want to and they get stuck with them and they can vote out with them in their pocket, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big thing. I think that's one of the reasons. And like I said, look at all the advantages they had in the last season. How many were played correctly? 2? Maybe?
Not many. Usually it was just the extra vote that helped out, but that's it.
Right. No immunity was played correctly last season. Nothing yet this season. No, nobody has played anything this season, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the couple shots in the dark, and they were still nothing.
Right.
So it's I wonder if, that's part of the problem with over having too much in the game. That people are just afraid to use stuff, and it's making it maybe more straightforward, more of a, because there's so many, there's too much in the game.
Yeah, I think so.
So either way, I think Drea she has a lot of weapons. It's a matter of knowing how to use them and when. The knowledge of power thing I hate still, but if she needs it, like, hey, Marianne, do you have an idol?
Right.
If nobody knows you have it, again, it's so important not telling people you have stuff. If nobody knows you have it, it's more beneficial.
Right.
It goes a lot farther.
Yeah. No, for sure. People shouldn't say anything.
So we'll see. That's where Liana went wrong last season. We'll see if Drea does it better this time. But it's very simple. Hey, you want to get rid of Marianne? Marianne, do you have an idol? And she has to tell you.
Right.
And I hate that because lying is 100% of the game.
Yeah.
So when we take the element of you can't lie, it's like,
right,
fuck game are you playing? Anyways, it's like it's church survivor. You have to play the game. We have to carry around a Bible the whole time, so you can't lie or swear. It's like, come on, get out of here.
Sure.
Anyways, want to move on to number 1?
Sure.
Who is player of the week this week? I think again, second week in a row. I think.
Omer.
Yeah. Omer's.
I emu dude.
What's that?
My emu dude.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's a winner pick, too.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you want to count him as my winner pick, I picked him later, but yes. No, I like him. He relates to everybody. He can hide. The only thing is...
Hide?
No, hide.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how easily he's going to be able to do that because, I mean, with this vote, you know, he voted Romeo, but so did Marianne and whoever else, so that's going to cause, like, a whole thing, but... Omer's really good with talking to each person and helping to orchestrate what's going on as well.
Yeah, it's got to be one of those things where he's got to just not get caught. If he doesn't get caught, he's going to go really, really far in the game and has a really good shot to win because he's definitely playing both sides. He's in the majority alliance, and he also has, you know, a working relationship with everybody else in the game. Now, that could bite him because sometimes people are like, I thought you were going to save me and you didn't, and they get mad at him.
You're stretched out too much, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, you know, the person is mad at you because you were saying you were with them, then you vote them out. But also, it could help them because, hey, you're the one who gave me a time of day I like you.
Right.
You know, so it could, you know, if I'm Omer, I'm like, hey, you know, like I said with the whole
he was praying and Mike was with him.
Yeah, and he's talking to Mike and building that relationship. It was great.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, for sure. Mike said something that I've been saying for my entire existence on Earth. Mm-hmm. We all have a lot in common. There's some things that are different about us, but we have a lot in common. I'm like, no F. Like, come on. That's what I've been saying forever. Like, it's good to see it. You know, last season, so I was like, we're all different colors, and we should all stick in our own colors. This season, like, yeah, we're all different, but we all have things in common too. And we have a lot more in common that unites us than divides us. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Yep.
But like with the Drea thing, right, where she had blood on her hands, I'll be like, yeah, I cut myself over by the thing. Let me wash it off.
Right.
You gotta just play it like that. You gotta just be like, you know, oh, I cut my. Oh yeah, that is blood. I must have cut myself at the water well when I was trying to move the thing. I dropped it and must have cut myself.
Gone are the days where everybody just says yes.
It's right. Right, and it said Jeff Varner. I said last time. So Jeff Varner, he went the
Jim Varner, Jed Clampett. No.
Okay. You know, the best thing he said now was, Zeke, why aren't you telling me you're trans? That wasn't the best thing he ever said. The best thing he ever said in the game was, I don't care what you're asking. The answer is yes, and that is a great way to play the game. I don't care what you're asking. The answer is yes.
And the only person that actually said something like that was Omer. He's like, I'm going with whatever you're going with, or whoever. Like, completely. He's just like, I'll go with whatever.
Exactly, and that's why he's doing well.
Yeah.
Because you tell people yes, you tell them yes. You don't be like, what? You know, Mike putting his foot down today was fine. I want to get rid of Chanel because I don't like her. Okay, but if that's what you want to spend your social capital on, go for it.
This is your time in the driver's seat. I hope it was worth it.
Right. Get rid of a player who could get rid of any time. Mm-hmm. No big deal. Who wasn't going to win anyways.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want. That's what yeah, right, exactly.
And didn't have enough power to try and flip anything later on anyways.
Right. Had no advantages, nothing. Mm-hmm. It's silly. Right. And Omer's like, yeah, I'll just do whatever you want me to do, blah, blah, blah. He's got a working relationship with everybody, and he's a smart player. And he said the only thing I was a little bit worried about with him was his social game, because, you know, he's aligned with Jonathan. Jonathan's really likable, but Omer is just as likable, I think. Mm-hmm. And this episode, they really show it too. He's my top person left on the board after Chanel goes out. And if back-to-back Canadians win, I'll tell you what.
I say I don't think a woman's winning this year.
I don't either.
The trajectory it's going now.
I think it's Drea or a guy.
Yeah.
I think Drea has a shot or a guy.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that.
And the only way Drea will win is if she has to use all her advantages and just blows up the game with like 3 advantages at once.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy. Maybe the amulet or whatever, but it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I think she can definitely steal Marianne's advantage or Marianne's idol and get rid of Marianne next week. Mm-hmm. But they did say, for a little bit, spoiler if you don't watch the previews, skip ahead 10 seconds, but they're going to say that next week I think they're going to divide it back into 2 tribes of 5, go to tribal council, and vote 2 people.
Yeah, they are. They're voting on 2 people. Yeah.
So that's what they're going to do. They did the same thing last time. I kind of hate that fake merge shit.
I don't like when they undivide them like that, because if you're going to vote out 2 people, just vote out 2 people with everybody at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's dumb.
Yeah. I don't like when they try to do 2 episodes in 1 hour, but do something else. Like they used to do it like on like South Pacific and in whatever one Boston Rob season Redemption Island. They did it where it was like we're gonna vote out 2 people. So vote out somebody, and then we'll vote out somebody else immediately following, and that way they could basically pick off the rest of the lines. Which was like, I didn't love that, but at least, it's just like you divide 2 people into 2 different tribes. Yes, it switches things up a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make. I don't know. It depends on how the breakdown is. I guess there's 10 people have 5 on one tribe, 5 on the other. If it's all 5 people are all aligned, that'll be very interesting.
Gonna be pretty bad. Yeah.
If there's 4 people, if let's say there's 8, right? It's everybody except Tori on one tribe, everybody except Romeo or Mariana on the other tribe. Well,
who's
and neither one have immunity. It's like, all right, well, that's easy.
Well, that's if Tori doesn't win immunity again.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I guess back to the Omar thing. He's good with everybody. He has good relationships with everybody. He's talking. He's making alliances. Like he said, yes, whatever you want, I'll go with it. And I think that's his biggest strength right now is he's in the core group. He's got little side deals with everybody else, and nobody's really
acting like he's not in the core group.
But he's tight with everybody, and he's got a good working relationship with everybody, and I really think he's the player to watch for sure at this point. I really do. I don't know, I was gonna say something else, but I think I'll just leave it at that. I think he's really he's like High and even Dre a little bit. They're like, yeah, we're running the game, and I think Omer's more running the game than them, and he's not cocky about it.
Right.
He's not even talking about I think if they because the uprising of the people on the outside, if they do uprise, who are they gonna take out? They're not gonna take Omer. They're gonna have Omer help him. Right. So he's getting he said, I think he said it, knowledge is power. He's got knowledge from everybody. He found out that Rockstar told Tori what was going on. Right, because he's working with her and working with,
Right.
And so he's getting information from everybody. The only way things don't go well for him is if the people on the bottom throw him under the bus to try to save themselves. But I don't know if they would know to do that.
No, probably
because
not.
He said he's voting kind of with them, kind of not with them.
Yeah.
And he said when they split the vote, he voted with the people who were on the bottom.
Right.
As part of the split vote, and he told it's brilliant. He tells his lines, "I'm voting with you. Let's split the vote," and he votes with the people who are not in his lines as part of the split vote. So he's making everybody happy.
Right.
Obviously, you won't be able to do that a lot going forward, and I'm excited to see what happens if they do shake things up and if advantages ever do get played. But I just don't see him again. He could go next now, right? Now I'm saying it, but anybody could go out anytime. But the best thing he's doing. He says he wants options, and that's completely what he has. Anytime anybody's name comes up, if he wants them to go, they can go. If he doesn't want them to go, they won't go. And he's completely in the driver's seat, and nobody's really looking at him because if they're gonna make a move, they want him on their side. So he's definitely played the week this week for sure. Anything else to add, Jessica?
No, I think you said it all.
I said way too much. I know. I just wanted to get my thoughts out because it was a few things that happened, and it's been a pretty straightforward episode. So I want to kind of dig into it a little bit and not just have it be, this happened because it was what was going to happen. So we'll see how next week goes, and if anybody makes any moves. I was thinking though this week with the whole sitting out for Rice thing, I thought they were gonna do the thing that they had Deshaun do last season. With if you sit out, you're fine. If you don't sit out, and you are the first one, if you compete and you're the first one out, you have to pick. And I thought they were gonna do that, and they're probably gonna do it like the final 6 or 7 or the hell they did.
Maybe
like last time, they'll probably do the same thing.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still too much. Which actually reminds me, all the different producer interference. I guess they have these fake Survivor seasons like Survivor Maryland, Survivor Brooklyn. They kind of just, over the course of a day or two, they just do a Survivor season. Sometimes Survivor superfans play, Survivor players sometimes play, and I guess they had a season, like 2019 or 2018 in Survivor Brooklyn, where they wanted to do a fake medevac. So basically, they want to simulate a medevac. Mm-hmm. So they picked a player out at random who's gonna be medevaced. And it's like, I understand you're doing producer stuff. and you're trying to make it exciting, but that's just like, come on. And this whole season is that. This whole season, for me, last 2 seasons, they're like, let's see, how much randomness can we add to the game? No wonder you have no good winners.
Right.
Because you can't anticipate anything, because everything's random.
Yeah.
Like, you're running the game, now you're gone. It's like, it's just, and that's why nobody's making any moves.
Yeah.
Because there's too much randomness. And I think it's bad for the game.
Right.
I think it's really bad for the game. But anyways, we can leave it there. Anything else you want to add, Jessica?
I don't think so.
All right, so let's go wrap it up here. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Paymore Productions. Email the show directly, paymoreproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe, share the post, tell your friends. We have some more stuff coming out here. We'll get another politics show out here in the next few weeks. We still have another baseball preview show coming out here as well. Still trying to get some of those bugs worked out, but definitely subscribe so you don't miss anything. You get all our updates. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the show. Anything else, Jessica?
I don't think so.
All right, well, I know I got nothing else for you because the tribe has spoken.